51 questions, Chairman.
Honorable Babu Owino, please,
in the interest
because you're a scholar, just turn those questions into two.
Thank you, Chairman. In the interest of time, then I will only ask 7, which is a number of completion or perfection. And you did say that that revolution led to destruction of food crops. Is there any maize that any Gen Z stepped on, Bwana PS? Number 2, Bwana PS, you talked about the inflation rate, which has declined to 4.1. Yet, when you look at the circumstances in the agricultural field and the pharmaceuticals, you are moving from zero rated to tax exemption at the input level. Don't you think that you're going to increase inflation further because the consumer or the retailer is going to bear these costs when the cost of food substance or the pharmaceuticals products are going to increase? Don't you think that this is going to lead to high cost of living and burdening Kenyans further, now that high cost of living is an issue of concern, the first issue of concern to Kenyans? Number 3, you did project your revenue for the financial year 25-26 in the current budget to be approximately around 3.3 trillion, yet the highest that you've ever collected, is around 2.4 trillion. And this circus goes on, and what you tell us is that the financing will be done through external financing, which will come to around 284 billion, and the domestic financing, which you stated at 291 billion. Is this achievable, taking into account that we have a budget of 4.2 trillion? Number 4, you talked about help, and you know that it is an emotive issue with our comrades at different universities, taking into account of the new funding model, which should not be implemented because we'll be going against the court orders. You are not prioritizing help. You are not treating it as a matter which is both important and urgent, because you are putting it like we may consider it. Can we consider help? Because you know very well as an economist the role of education in economic development. Literally in everything, education applies. Then number 5, the UHC workers, universal healthcare workers, they've been demonstrating on a daily basis. And we have leadership in this country. And you are the source, you are the owner of the money at Treasury. These ladies and gentlemen have been waking up every morning, not doing anything, even spending various nights, Mr. Chairman, in the cold. Chairman, you know how they wrote you many text messages. Can we consider a budget for the universal health care workers so that they can be employed on a permanent and pensionable basis, and also work on their gratuity, so that we can help these young men and women in this country? Number 6, number 5 is UHC. Number 6, in the current finance bill, is there anything, any tax that is going to be increased on any good or service? Because you've been smelling whispers around that the Gen Zs are coming back. Should there be any tax increment? So let us not increase, let us not suffocate Kenyans. Lastly, Chairman, I said 7 and we agreed. So the last one I would have finished. The last one on KRA, Chairman. Bwana PS, you've come up with a strategy that KRA can access people's accounts without permission. And you know very well that this is infringing, it is against the right to privacy as enshrined in the Constitution. and is also against the Data Protection Act, where safety of consumers is exposed. Why are we going this direction? Thank you.
A new chapter in Kenya's fiscal journey is being written. The Finance Bill 2025, a comprehensive legislative proposal, has landed on the table of Parliament, and with it, a series of reforms that signal both caution and ambition. This time, after the public uproar over the 2024 Finances Bill, the government is treading more carefully. The goal of fund a KES 4.3 trillion national budget, reduce Kenya's fiscal deficit, and build trust. Let's take a deep, structured look into what the Finance Bill 2025 actually entails. Section 1, the big picture. Why it matters. The Finance Bill 2025 is not just about raising taxes. It's about fiscal sustainability, revenue mobilization, and economic alignment. The government targets collecting KES 3.385 trillion in the 2025-2026 fiscal year. This includes KES 2.84 trillion in ordinary revenue, supplemented by appropriations in aid and other income. But beneath these numbers lies a more complex vision, capping the fiscal deficit at 4.5% of GDP from 5.1% the previous year. That's a significant shift considering the country's debt-to-GDP ratio and recent IMF-led structural reform. What's changed in approach? In a clear departure from 2024's controversial bill, the 2025 proposal emphasizes enhancing compliance, tightening definitions, and expanding the tax net rather than adding new tax burdens. Section 2, Income Tax Act amendments, a closer look. Let's begin with income tax. One of the most notable changes is to the fringe benefit tax. Previously taxed at 9%, it's now pegged at 30%, aligned with the corporate tax rate. This applies to interest-free or low-interest loans given by employers. While it's a bit to curb tax arbitrage, businesses may see it as punitive. Next, the definition of royalty is revised. It now includes payments for software distribution and licensing. This change particularly targets tech companies, ensuring platforms monetizing Kenyan users, whether they're based in Nairobi or Silicon Valley, pay their fair share. The per diem allowance threshold is another key change. Previously capped at KES 2,000, it's now raised to KES 10,000 per day. This provides tax relief to traveling employees and reflects inflationary trend. Another critical update. Income from scrap sales will now be taxable, with withholding tax obligations on buyers. This formalizes the largely informal scrap industry and helps seal revenue leaks. Section 3, VAT reforms. The digital economy comes into view. The Finance Bill 2025 significantly targets the digital economy. Under the VAT Act, digital services offered by non-resident providers to Kenyan consumers are now subject to VAT. This includes streaming platforms, digital marketplaces, e-learning services, and even cloud hosting. This move follows global trends, think OECD and EU guideline, and is intended to level the playing field between local businesses and global tech giants. Additionally, the bill transitions several goods from zero-rated to exempt status. While this reduces government VAT refunds to businesses, it also cuts administrative costs and controls input tax abuse. But for businesses, especially exporters and manufacturers, it could limit their VAT recoverability, meaning tighter margins. Section 4, excise duty eyes on digital assets and lifestyles. In the 2025 bill, excise duty reforms focus on both emerging financial products and luxury consumption. Digital assets, including cryptocurrencies, are now under the excise duty umbrella. Transactions involving crypto exchanges, wallets, or token transfers will face a yet-to-be-announced duty rate. This is part of Kenya's attempt to regulate the fintech boom and capture value in the informal digital market. Moreover, there are updates on excise definitions, clarifying terms like digital marketplace and digital lender. This legal clarity helps tax authorities monitor and enforce obligations more effectively. Interestingly, no new sin taxes, like those on alcohol or tobacco, have been proposed, signaling a shift from consumer-targeted taxation to structural tax reform. Section 5, Tax Procedures, the KRA's new power. Perhaps the most controversial element of the bill lies in the Tax Procedures Act amendments. The Kenya Revenue Authority will now be authorized to access taxpayer financial data, including bank accounts, and mobile money records without needing a court order. The rationale is to curb tax evasion and broaden compliance, but critics argue it infringes on privacy and sets a dangerous precedent. Another major reform, advanced pricing agreements. These allow multinational firms to negotiate tax treatment for cross-border transactions in advance, reducing future disputes and transfer pricing risks. This is a big win for compliance and investor confidence. The bill also streamlines tax refund processing, addressing a long-standing concern where businesses wait months or years for VAT refund. Section 6, Incentives, Exemptions, and Equity. While much of the bill tightens tax administration, it also offers targeted incentive. Companies operating under the Nairobi International Financial Center, NIFC, now enjoy reduced corporate tax rates, 15% for the first decade and 20% for the next, if they invest KES $3 billion within 3 years. This is part of a broader strategy to position Nairobi as a regional financial hub. The bill also proposes tax exemptions on pension gratuities, offering relief to retirees and aligning with national goals on social protection. For startups and MSMEs, while no specific incentives were introduced, the digital tax reforms are expected to ease competition from untaxed foreign tech giants, indirectly boosting local enterprises. Section 7, Public Participation and Trust Building. After the backlash of 2024, transparency has become a central theme. The government has digitized the public participation process for the Finance Bill 2025. Citizens can now review the bill and submit comments online. This not only increases accessibility, but also democratizes fiscal policy. Several civil society organizations and business lobbies have welcomed the move. However, concerns still linger about implementation, especially around privacy, fairness, and administrative capacity. Section 8, What it means for you. If you're a salaried employee, your per diem tax burden might fall. If you're in the tech space, especially a digital platform or crypto user, you may face new obligations. For businesses, particularly those in finance, software, and e-commerce, tax compliance is no longer a choice, it's an immediate imperative. For multinationals, the introduction of advanced pricing agreements marks a major leap forward in regulatory predictability. And for the common Mwananchi, the everyday citizen, while there are no sweeping new taxes, the implications of digital VAT and tightened compliance will be felt across sectors. Conclusion, a turning point. The Finance Bill 2025 is less about bold new taxes and more about systemic repair. It's a reflection of Kenya's evolving economy, digitalized, integrated, and ambitious. It's also a signal to investors, taxpayers, and civil society that the government is ready to act smarter, not just harder. But the real test lies ahead: enforcement, public trust, and economic resilience. As we move towards the bill's effective date, the 1st of July of 2025, stakeholders across all sectors must prepare, adapt, and engage. Because in finance, as in governance, clarity is power, and the Finance Bill 2025 is the blueprint of Kenya's next fiscal chapter.